Hello and welcome to a new video in this little Cranoke series. A special welcome to all the new subscribers. Thank you very much appreciated. Today I want to take you down more of a folkloristic route in regards to Cranoke. So I've gone to dukas.ie, where you find the Schools collection, which is a collection of essays that was written down by school children in Ireland in the 1930s, and it's sorted by county and by school and so on. So if you just type in Cranoke in the search, on the left hand side you see all the counties, and there are way fewer than you would expect with 2,000 Cranokes in the country. But I've chosen one from Mayo that caught my eye because I like the story that is being told there. And so if I go here, click on Mayo, and it's this one here that has no title. And it's really neat handwriting. But I have asked a friend to read it to me, and we'll have a look and a listen to that.
On the meering of the parishes of Kilmovee and Oggamore, about halfway between Ballyhonus and Charlestown, on the Galway-Sligo road, are the chain of lakes known as the Lakes of Urlár. The village of Clonfiacra is surrounded by the waters of those lakes. There are 5 in number, namely Loch Urlár on the east, Loch Rua on the south, Loch Gov and Loch Navina on the west and northwest, and Loch na Mná Og in the northeast. Loch Rua, or the Red Lake, is better known as the home of Ruaín, or the Red Daughter of Manannán MacLír, who, being defeated in battle by Milesians and being possessed of druidical powers, changed his 7 daughters into 7 water maidens, because he would not have them being taken into marriage by the victorious Milesian chiefs. Into the Red Lake he put Ruaní. On the western side of the lake is an island which seems to be a crannog, and here the red-haired maiden has her home. Some years ago, a local resident, James Robinson, was returning from Oggamore Mass about 2:30 p.m. on a Sunday in summer, and he beheld a red-haired maiden washing her hair. He spoke to an old woman that used to live close to the lake, she has died since, and called her attention to the spectacle. The old lady was not at all surprised. She said she was used to seeing the Ruaní. James Robinson is still living in Carrabeg and can vouch for this story.
So there are 2 things that I find interesting about this one. First of all is that how they established that this James Robinson is not, some random guy who just sees things. So they say he's come home from church, so he's a God-fearing person. He's not just walked back from the pub drunk or something, and that's why he saw this maiden. He's a respectable person, in other words. And then the other thing is, what I find interesting is that they clearly had an idea that people lived on these Cranokes. Well, maybe not people, not humans, but like water people, whatever those are. And that they come up with an explanation for that. And the king that is mentioned in the story, this Manannán MacLír, is kind of like the Poseidon of Ireland, I suppose. And so there are a lot of stories about him in Irish mythology. If you look on Wikipedia, there's even a sculpture for him there in County Londonderry, Northern Ireland. And there's also this gold boat. Again, if you've been to the National Museum in Dublin, you might have seen this golden boat, which is associated with him. And there are a lot of stories about him, and the story that he had to change his daughters into water maidens to preserve them from getting married to the enemies. That is, obviously a euphemism. So there's a lot of stories about that, and I think that that's very interesting. But now we want to map the whole thing. And I have mapped mythology or folklore before. If you have watched that video maybe, or you haven't, I'll link it up in the corner, when I tried to map all the Dermot and Grania's beds. So you can watch that if you like, after you've watched this to the end. So we're going in here. So this is Loch Roe, or the Red Lake. And you can already see the island here. and that's where the alleged Crannog is. And it's not just alleged, it is on the historic environment viewer. It is a national monument. So I'll zoom in and go into edit. This looks very suspicious as well. Maybe I should report this. It's not on every satellite imagery. But the national monument is this island here. So we're going with this. And it's already defined as the inner part of the relation of the lake, so we don't have to worry about all of that. And we go in and define it as place islet. Now I have figured out that you don't actually have to do that, because it's going to be, as you saw earlier on the map, it's going to be displayed as an island anyway, even if you don't define it as that. And it would kind of make a little bit of sense if you don't define it as an islet or an island, because it is artificial. I'll leave that decision to you, because then it will be rendered on OpenStreetMap. We're not supposed to map with the renderer, so I'm going to define it as an islet anyway. And then we go to historic, archaeological site, you know that already. And then site type, it's still that, sorry, that was my oven. It's still site type. The vote might have ended by the time this video goes out. So just watch this space. Site type Crannog. And was there a name for that island? I suppose we could call it Ruanis Island. But I won't use name because I don't think that's the official name. I'll use local name. Ruanis Island. And we'll also give I'll give a description. And you don't have to type it in down here. Oops. No, not definition, description. I was trying to hit this here. Because this will come up as well. If you type in description down there, it'll open a new field in the form here. So legend has it that Ruani, daughter of Nan, my keyboard sometimes doesn't want to do the Afada. MacLear lived on this island. See, and then I'll add this link here. And then I'll add the reference, i.e. SMR. Which hopefully it will jump to straight away, because that's the last thing I had open. Yeah. I'm a bit confused now that the name is on that island, but I think that's just the townland name. There's no further information. That's really all. Watch this space. I will report this, I think, today, over here in the corner. Because that looks very, very suspicious. I mean, it's not circular, but it looks like this could be circular and that there's something around it. I'm excited. I hope you are. So save this. Added Crannog. I've done a couple in the past. Sources. The SMR is Reclarity, Bing, and Dukas.ie. I think that's plenty for sources. And upload that. Shinewell. Thank you for watching, and I shall see you in the next video. Slán!